Hello and welcome. I am your Saturday night. This is your Saturday night, and this is actually a special Saturday night. I'm sure you can already take a wild guess, but one of the reasons it's special is because it's a holiday art night. Holiday art night, that's exactly what we're here for. I mean, maybe you're not here for that. Maybe you're just here for some art. But regardless, it is still a holiday art night. Oh my goodness. And that in itself is just a spectacular thing. An absolutely spectacular thing. Generally speaking, I enjoy joining you for these art adventures. As I'm sure you enjoy being able to join me for these art adventures. And that's what this is. This is an art venture. In case you're wondering what we're going to be doing for this holiday art night, I'm going to be doing some painting. Now, normally I paint up on the easel. Today I'm going to be painting on my board. It's still going to be a really fun time. We're still going to have a lot of fun here. I already have some paints kind of set up. I have a bunch of brushes I'm going to be using today, including these brand new brushes that I just got. These are an early Christmas gift and a very special one, and I'm going to be using some of these today. But I'm going to be doing a little bit of character drawing and not drawing, painting, a little bit of character painting. And we're going to be painting Arty. That is the name of this character. She already has a name. Have some of my paints already prepped here. I've already done a sketch on my canvas. So there's a few things I need to do just to kind of get us moving, get us started. And I'm going to start getting those in here now. Because what's art without, getting started? So that's something I'm doing right now as we speak. I'm getting started, and I'm going to be starting right in here on where Arty's eyes will be. Now, what I'm actually doing is I'm starting with some inks. These inks are going to help establish what is going to eventually be our base tones. This isn't going to be the final color, but it's going to help prep these surfaces up so that as we move towards our colors and all the various shades we're going to use, we're already in a nice spot. And I'm just going to start establishing some of that now. I'm actually going to get a bigger brush really quick because there's a bunch of areas I want to fill in. I hope that you have some wonderful plans for your upcoming holidays. I hope that you're going to be doing some great things, maybe spending time with friends, family, whatever it may be. No matter what it is, I, of course, wish you an absolutely marvelous time coming up. So, as I'm doing this, I'm actually going to go ahead, I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about some of our concepts and themes. So, I'm going to start off by saying something I really like is taking the concept of what's normally maybe a bad guy or a villain and then doing them in a different light. I do not like when things are, I guess black and white, as it were. It's not fun. It's not interesting. So I like taking sometimes traditionally bad things and bringing them out in a new light, or at least putting them forward in a different light. So that's something I'm doing here. Arty is a goblin. And that in itself is actually already pretty interesting. Now, our goblin girl here, obviously we're going to come up with some more kind of story elements. Right now I'm just establishing a few things. I wanted her to have really bright eyes, so I got that yellow in, like, from the get-go. Kind of going on to where her eyes are going to be. Again, to establish some kind of tone and everything. But I'm also using that same yellow for the light behind her. So there's this big kind of open doorway here, and some light is spilling in. Gonna put some reds in over here also. Now, I had some ideas. Obviously, you're gonna get some ideas like what's the character, what's their story, what's their purpose. Now, for me, Arty is going to be kind of an archetypical, I guess I could say good guy, a hero of sorts, the hero of her own story. And though that's pretty vague, it actually is a really nice starting point for what could be a really strong character. I had this image in my mind. We picture... So here's where the holiday element comes into play. But we picture Santa and his elves, and one has to imagine, if the elves are real, if Santa's magic is real, then there's so many other creatures, things, that would be real. And maybe, just maybe, not everything worked out for all of them the way they'd hoped. In the case of Arty, that's kind of where our story begins. You see, we always think of the elves that help Santa, right? What about all those creatures that maybe didn't get credit, or maybe have a job to do as well, but they don't get the limelight. They don't get to be an integral part of the story. Maybe they wanted to be, but for reasons, they have been put aside, removed from the tale. Maybe they didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but they don't appeal to humans the same way the elves did. Same way that Santa did. They got a raw deal. Not just any kind of raw deal. No. They get to live on in fairy tales as the enemies. As the things that are not friends to humanity, but they are. Arty wants to change that story. She wants her people to be recognized for the good that they do. Not just as the monsters of a few tales. Not just the ones that trick people. Because the elves, they were tricksters. They weren't to the benefit of mankind for a long time. Until Santa's good rep kind of rubbed off on them. So here we have Arshay, and her story is one of wanting redemption for her people. To be fair, most of these creatures weren't our friends when their stories began. They were just other things in the world. Let me talk for 2 seconds about some other things on my mind. So I absolutely adore Christmas movies and Christmas stories. Obviously, they hold a really important place in many people's lives, but I liked the kind of weird, wild ones that we used to get in the form of claymation movies and everything long, long ago. You know, the one about the elf that wanted to be a dentist, about Jack Frost. Oh, I used to love those when I was a kid. I still love them. They're good stories. I don't think they will ever stop being good stories. And they're not just happy-go-lucky stories either. Some of them can actually be pretty sad if you really pay attention. And that's actually another thing I really liked about them. Not all the stories had a nice, happy ending. Which nowadays, alright, we'll be fair, a lot of things don't have a happy ending anymore. But it's not the same. It's not the same as it was then. For lots of reasons, of course. We're different people now. The world is different now. Let me just interrupt by saying right now I'm actually using Liquitex inks for a lot of these background colors. I like the way they work. I like the way they interact. I like that wonderful fluidity they have. Granted, there are some downsides with Liquitex inks. Like, if you're not used to using them, they can be a little tricky sometimes, but they're really fun. They are so much fun. So there we go. There's a bunch of kind of background getting to be laid in right now. And not to lose focus, because I don't want to lose focus. We have things to talk about. Adding a little bit of gray into these eyes around where the color is going to be. I think that actually makes a pretty big impact right there. a really big impact. I'm going to be using a bunch of gray on here for a minute in various areas to begin building certain parts of arty. So I did choose as my kind of default concept here a goblin. I love goblins. I love goblins. I've always had like this kind of curiosity with them. When I learned about what they were early on in life, I was just like, these are awesome. I found them so interesting, so curious, so kind of beautiful, actually. There was something wonderful about their concept, about their presentation. But I was always really like, I don't really like the fact that they're always bad guys. It just wasn't something that sat right with me. And I know people love goblins and monsters to be the bad guy, right? We all do, to some degree, want monsters. We want those things that we can, I guess, project some of our own human faults onto. But it still didn't sit right with me personally. Like, this is a me thing. I'm going to admit it. I know that this is not true for everyone. Some people are perfectly fine with a nice monster, and you are valid. And I'm not going to take that away from you. But to me personally, me individually, and I know I'm not alone in this kind of thought process, but, to me, these are misunderstood creatures and beautiful creatures. And so that's what we're getting today. A misunderstood beautiful creature. Arty. The hero of her own tale. Now we're going to have some stages to go through here to really make her pop. But right now it's just kind of that wonderful beginning moment, right? We're just getting to know her. And actually is just kind of a starting sketch. I think this is like a really nice way to start getting to know Arty. Obviously, we're starting with kind of a semi background, some basics of anatomy. There's nothing really spectacular happening yet, but there will be. Oh, there will be. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep talking for a minute because, we have a lot to talk about. I've already said that one of the kind of concepts behind this character I'm doing today comes from that love of Christmas stories, old Christmas stories. And even though I'm doing something which isn't a traditional Christmas creature or character or anything, it still comes from a wonderful place of love. Love for the season and the holiday and those old movies, those old, beautiful claymation movies. Creating what will be a really, really interesting new addition to our holiday season. Someone who was left out of the festivities. Someone who wanted to be part of them, but really wasn't let come in. Forever on the outside. Forever left out of the joy. Not given an invitation to celebrate. Not invited along for the revelry. Whose people were not let in when it was time to fill up the sleigh, when it was time to bring joy to the children. No, no. They were left on the sidelines. But Arty here she has one goal, and it's not to get them all back in the holiday. No, 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 no. She wants to bring the holiday to her people. They may not have been invited to help bring Christmas to the children of the world, but she can still bring Christmas to the other goblins. And that's what she's going to do. Arty is going to bring joy to her people. in a long story short kind of way, that's my goal here. That's my want. That's my character. You know, we don't have to always get into the more nitty gritty aspects of some of the character designs I come up with. Sometimes we just need to create characters for the sole purpose of something happy, something joyful, that magic. And this character here is my attempt to do just that, to bring magic. She's my representation of the hope and joy of the season. The beauty of being part of something. I'm starting here with a pretty simple green because, of course, you know, I know it's really stereotypical to have a green goblin, but it would feel really wrong to me if I didn't have something that I personally find aesthetically very beautiful and intriguing. She's not going to stay in this state. I am going to give her an outfit, but for now, I just need to get some of this green in here so I can build my goblin. Arche's name actually means brilliance or light. And that is what she's going to be. She's going to be brilliance and light. She's going to be hope and joy. And she is going to bring hope and joy to the goblins of the world. Her kin, her people. Humans, they just get to have Christmas. But there are plenty of good goblin girls and boys who don't. For Arche, that simply will not do. It simply will not do. No. The only way the world will be right for her if she can bring back joy and magic to people who've gone without it for so long. And so, her story starts simply. As she sets out from her home to travel to the North Pole to ask Santa that the children in her home get gifts too. And she's gonna try. Oh, she's gonna try. Oop. Accidentally bopped my microphone there. Grab this green here, just a little bit of it. Start to build a little bit of water line under her eyes here. We're going to be using each of these greens, not necessarily sparingly, but, very loosely, not too much, not too little. Trying to figure out how the light interacts with her skin. Which actually can be a really hard thing to do. When you're trying to figure out how light's supposed to interact, it can be hard to know what some of those interactions will be as you move forward. Because you kind of have to try to figure out, where your shadows are going to be and all of that. I'm sure many of you already know this. But when it comes to things like even just green skin, there's particular challenges. So like here, I'm working with combinations of greens and blues to try to figure out where her shadows lie and also how they work. So we're having a little bit of fun with that, really kind of getting into some aspects of shading and coloration and understanding. There's certain spots that they're going to be real dark. So a little bit of what I'm doing right now is kind of establishing what her anatomy is. Later we will come in and add some garments, things for her, things to really emphasize some of her body structure. Which I'm just to be truthful, I'm not entirely sure what her body structure is yet. I'm still figuring it out, just like everything else. But it does give me the chance to play with these various green shades and tones and kind of establish some of this palette here. I know you can't see everything I'm doing right now, so let me try to adjust some of this, give you a better view. I'm using these smaller brushes and everything to kind of form her, pick her apart, come up with her features and her shapes. Her one eye ended up kind of larger than the other. We will fix that. All of this is stuff that's a work in progress. But it's a really nice work in progress. Figuring out what tones go where. And some of this is just kind of trying to bring some light to her. Establish my style. Not my style isn't like, what's my style? No, like, establish my style moving forward with this character. Because we don't want to have everything seem all a bit stale, right? So I'm getting in some various light features here. Some things make sense, some things do not. Some areas of light and shadow, I think, really need a certain amount of emphasis. Especially as I build up her kind of image and everything here. But yeah, this is just fun. This is fun. I guess I'm just going to call her for today the Arty, the Christmas Goblin. It's what she is. It's who she is. Really getting some fun values for her skin and everything here as I move through more. Also establishing what like her darker and lighter tones look like. There's a lot to be done before we have a complete character. But as far as a lot goes here right now, this is a really interesting physical concept. I like it. I already know that it's going to take me a while to really, really nail her down. You know, this is a multi-stage piece. That is undeniable. As I build up what will be eventually her final form. And I really want to lean into, the kind of the magic of it, because she is, by definition, like a magical creature. She's a magical creature and a magical character. There we go. Trying to bring in some of that so that the eyes are closer to being the same size. Size and shape. Honestly, this is really fun. This is just a whole lot of fun. Look at how... yeah. This is fun. We're going to have several go-throughs before we get Arche correct, but when it comes right down to it, I'm fine with that, you know? I'm fine with artwork that sometimes takes me a lot longer. It's a work of love. Work of love. So her eyes are already taking on a really interesting kind of look. I still have a lot of choices to make with her design. But at least for the time being, I feel I now know her motivations, a lot of her tone. Now I'm establishing kind of what's eventually going to be her clothing. And I'm liking the way the paint's starting to play together on this. So even what's going to be her outfit really has a defined kind of look here. Everything's starting to build on itself. And, for her clothing here, we're starting to get kind of like, I won't say natural, but more, yeah, like a natural kind of paint scheme or color scheme. But I also need to lean into the fact that, this isn't, she's not a person, right? She's, well, yeah, be specific. She's not a person, but she's also not just another well known stereotype, right? That's part of the problem she has, or at least part of the problem she has with the time of year. Her people were denied the chance to be part of it. Gives me an opportunity to make kind of a. So there's kind of the beginnings of what's going to be her top. We're getting a color scheme for her. We already have a lot of shadows built in and a lot of shaping. So there's a lot more to be done. Gotta lighten some of this eye area up, which starting to take care of that now. And granted, some of it is going to get re-darkened as we go along. But if I don't lighten it up a little bit now, it's just going to be way too dark later. Add a little color in where her eyebrows are going to be once it is time to do them. get a little color in her inner ear area. Start adding more color into where her body is and her neck. And some of this is just to make sure that, we have a surface we're working on. It's not flat and lifeless when we come in here later. And another aspect of it is trying to pull it away from where we were before. We have her limbs and everything and her face, but I want to make sure that I don't end up getting flat. So counterintuitively, I'm flattening some of this paint out a little bit with white, but we don't want everything to muddy up into a single thing. So the best way I can do that right now is to start tying some of these colors together, and I'm just doing that by adding some white. Now it's really light, so it's not gonna going to completely and totally remove all the color that was there before. But it is going to help me establish some guidelines for later. And that in itself is actually just really useful, Maintaining some continuity amongst her design elements. Hopefully tying some of these tones together. Helping pull her away from the background more. There's a lot to be done to really make her pop off the page. But it all starts with little things like this. And then There we go. I realize we're going to be going through several steps here, but honestly, we're already getting better. Just so you can see, so what I was just doing is kind of getting the bottom half of her body a little more finished. And then take a little bit of that. Need to. There. So now you can see a little bit more of what I was just doing. Let me push that right up for you. Kind of making what will be her skirt or lower garment here. We're making some great progress. I hope you're having a good time watching this as we continue on with arty. We're going through a lot of changes as we go too. So not everything's going to stay how it was when we started. Obviously, right? You know, that's not the way art goes. But I did have to do something in regards to actually trying to start putting her hair in here. And it's like, okay, well, what color is her hair? And I was starting with these kind of blue tones in the beginning. But now, kind of playing with something a little bit darker. And actually, kind of pulling some of that out of the back there, so her hair is falling in the front and the back. But I'm going to be doing a few variations here in the tone. Hopefully to make it obvious where the roots and everything are, but also to keep everything both consistent and easily to understand where everything is. Again, I don't want her to be flat. You know, we're already getting a lot of different things happening, a lot of different things going on. And we're gonna just keep that energy up. We're gonna keep that energy up. Oops, that was a little too much there. Now, I am kind of leaning into, I won't say fall so much as just various natural tones here. which I will try to make even more popping as we go along. Oh, I like that. Oh, those are really pretty eyes. They're a little off. They're not exactly. We're still having some issues as far as symmetry goes, but they are getting better. Right? Right. This is what I definitely call a labor of love. Because I started with that yellow on the bottom for the eyes, there's just, it's really, really pretty. Oh, that's pretty. Like, there is a lot going on. There's a lot in all of these areas, so I'm actually going to be taking some of my gray. I'm going to try to establish a few like boundary zones for my design. I have to do that again. Oops. That's okay. Just kind of pulling some of that out. Gonna do another one in here. And actually, doing this very carefully, I can actually fix some of my edges here. Like, we already have so much going on here. So much fun going on. So good. And the further we get along, like, just in general, the better Arche is looking. Like, she's really starting to pop. just to really kind of play into this light scheme that I'd started to develop. I might have to do these a couple of times to get everything right. Because right now those are not even. Those are not even. I messed that right up. But that's okay. Because if I go ahead and I do some of that, then I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some of this. Do a little cleanup of some of my spots here. While we're at it, there we go. Little bit. Tiny bits. Every bit counts. Arty is starting to come along nicely. She's starting to feel more real. Now I'm going to have to take some of this here. That was a lot of yellow in there, but a little bit of green mixed in. And then we're starting to even out again. Our Christmas goblin. Now, I realize that there's a long way to go before we actually are set and completely ready to call Arty complete. I'm going to go ahead and do a few more things in here today. I don't want to over paint her. At least not in this stage, you know. But let's be fair, this This is a really good. Really good character design. There's a lot going on here. Um, and let's remember the important things. What are the important things about Arche? She wants to bring Christmas to her people, something that they have not had. She wants to bring happiness to her people, something they've not had. She wants joy. And that is her purpose. That is her purpose and her mission. Joy. So, I would like to say thank you to those of you who have been with me today. I know that we've been on a different kind of journey. Not exactly our normal fare, as it were, but by going into different places, new places like this, we get the chance to really spread our wings. And I have been trying to spread my wings today. Arche is a character of love for me. And when I say love, I mean love of the concept of the holiday season, of what it can be for all of us. And I like the idea of someone whose entire purpose is to bring that holiday joy, to bring it somewhere where it has been missing. And hopefully, you, wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, hopefully you have lots of holiday joy. Hopefully your holiday season is absolutely brimming with holiday joy. I wish the absolute best for all of you. I wish a happy holidays, whether that's... No, I'm not even going to go through all of them. No matter what holiday you celebrate, happy holidays, because I can't possibly know what they all are. And I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I can try to pretend that I know what they all are. I don't. I'm just not nearly as knowledgeable as I should be, probably. I don't know. What I do know is that Arche, our holiday goblin, whose goal is to bring joy to the rest of goblin kind, I hope that if you find yourself pursuing a similar goal, trying to bring holiday spirit, that holiday spirit absolutely fills your season. Oh my goodness. I'm actually really I'm enjoying this way too much right now, and I have to slow down. We are doing tremendously good work. I'm going to first off, I'm going to say thank you to my bestest best friend, my BFF, who gave me these amazing brushes of the wonderful palettes that I'm working with today. I'm going to have to actually store some of this paint aside because I didn't realize how much I was going to manage to get done in such a short amount of time. I didn't realize. No, I have to do a little bit more. I have to. It's not that I have to. I just want to. These brushes are amazing. And I am very grateful for them. Like, the things I'm doing right now, because I have the right brushes to do it. Woo! Like, these are some really fine detail moments right now. But I have a lot still to do. Arche is going to be very reliant on my new brushes. Like, really reliant. All right. I'm just going to go ahead. This is something I just want to do. Like that little tiny thing right there. I know it doesn't seem like much, but, whew. Yeah, that's good. All right. I'm going to call it for today. Oh my goodness gracious. We have done such great work. Okay, everyone. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy whatever you celebrate. I'm going to come back to you soon. We're going to keep working on Arche. Next time, our holiday goblin who wants to bring joy of the seasons and gifts and all of this amazing stuff to her people. But until then, take care. Be excellent. I will see you all again very soon. Be well, my friends.